Hi everybody. I'm back. I've just realised that I haven't filmed anything since probably April, and I haven't done anything. So before you all decide that I don't know, disappeared or died or something, I'm still around, but I've been really busy with work, and I had quite a bad month reading in April and May, so I haven't read that many books, so I didn't bother filming any videos. However, since I seem to have picked up more and more books, and I've read quite a few, so I've looked at my last videos, and I think the latest review that I'd done was for American Gods by Neil Gaiman. I read about 10 books since, and I'm just going to quickly tell you which ones I read, which ones I've really enjoyed, and what lies ahead. So anyway, since finishing American Gods, I read One Day by David Nichols, which most people would have heard about, and it's a story of two friends and their friendship lasting for 20 years, and how it develops into their relationship and how it suddenly ends and what happens. And it's a beautiful story. It's a bit too sweet for my liking, but I really enjoyed it. However, I'm a bit unsure about reading anything else by this author, because I don't know, it was just a bit too sweet for my liking. Again, I'm sorry I don't have the actual books, or not many of them here, because I read some of them on Kindle, and some of them I'd given away to charity shops and lent to my friends, so I don't really have them. I have images on my phone though. So after that, I read The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, and that was really good. I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it as much as I loved We Have Always Lived in the Castle, which I read earlier this year, but nonetheless it was a good book, and I'm looking forward to reading more stuff written by Shirley Jackson. And then I discovered a guy called Nick Pizzolatto. I think that's how you pronounce it, Pizzolatto. Anyway, if you've watched True Detective TV series, this is the guy who wrote it, and as I watched it, I thought the story is just genius. I absolutely loved it. So I googled the guy, and it turned out that he'd written 2 books before writing this amazing HBO series. And one of the books, the first book he published, is called Between Here and the Yellow Sea, and it's a book of short stories. And although I'm not the biggest fan of short stories, I really enjoyed it. And it's the same style, it's the same mood as in the series, and they were just brilliant. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed reading those stories. So right after them, I picked the novel written by the same author. It's called Galveston, and it tells the story of this guy who's kind of like he works with, well, anyway, he's sort of a criminal. He's like a murderer, and then he falls out with his boss, and he runs away, and he meets this girl, and again it's the same theme of loneliness and friendship, and how much do you open yourself to another person, and the sadness that follows us everywhere. I absolutely adored this book. Honestly, it's one of the best books I've read recently, and I thoroughly recommend it. And I'm looking forward to the second series of The True Detective, because I think the guy is truly a genius. Then after that, I wanted something light, and I finally read Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore by Robin Sloan. I've had this book on my Kindle for probably a year, maybe 2 years, and I never came around to reading it. So I read it, it was enjoyable, it was easy to read, it was a fun story, but again, it's just one of those books you enjoy reading, you put it down once you're finished, and you don't really think about it again. So it's fun, it's a good light read, but that's about it. Then afterwards, I read a book by Mark Haddon. It's the guy who wrote The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, and the book I read was called The Red House. It's a story about family and family secrets, and again, easy read. I whisked through it really quickly. It was enjoyable, but I don't know whether I'd bother reading any of his other books. Well, I probably would if I fancy a light read, but you know, nothing spectacular. Then I read my first graphic novel, which was Batman the Killing Joke. I got it for my birthday from a friend. I read it and I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, beautiful illustrations and everything like that. And then after that I read this truly amazing non-fiction book. I think it was Mercedes from Book Musings that mentioned it first, where I saw it first. So I downloaded because it was on Amazon's daily deals, Kindle daily deals a while back for 99p. And really everybody should read this book. It's so good. It's basically a story about North Korea told by it's written by Barbara Demick, which is an American journalist, and I think she used to work in South Korea and in China, and she interviewed people who managed to escape North Korea, and they told their life stories and what it was like growing up in North Korea and what truly happened. And honestly, it felt like as if I was reading a novel, and it was so fast-paced and the stories are so unbelievable. Like the things that happen, they're heartbreaking, and you really wouldn't expect that things like this would happen in modern world. And I couldn't put down this book. I really, really enjoyed it. It was amazing. I thoroughly recommend it. Then after reading it, I read my second graphic novel, Lock and Key Volume 1. I heard a lot of good things about it, and I was really looking forward to reading it. However, I didn't enjoy it as much as I expected, so I don't know if I'm going to bother with the second one. It was alright, but I don't know. I just wasn't as impressed as I was expecting it to be. And then last week, over the weekend, I read another amazing book that I thoroughly recommend. It's called Tell the Wolves I'm Home by Carol Rivka Brunt, and it's a story of a girl who basically grows up in 1980s in New York, and her uncle who dies of AIDS, and their special friendship and what happens after he passed away. It's much better than I expected. I enjoyed it. It was sad, it was heartbreaking, it was beautifully written, and it's a really, really good story, so I thoroughly recommend it. And then this weekend I've just read Shock of the Fall by Nathan Filer. It's one of those books that won Costa Book Awards 2013. It was good. I really didn't enjoy the beginning. I thought it was, when you get the feeling that you read this before and the writer is trying too hard, and I do realise it is the first novel by this author, so it's a really good first attempt. And once I got past the fifth quarter of the book, I really enjoyed the story, and it's well written. I would recommend it. It's about a guy who loses his brother as a child, and how he grows up, and his mental state deteriorates, and he starts suffering from schizophrenia, and what happens then and how he overcomes it. So it's a good book. It was quite an easy read. I whisked through it, but again, I gave it 3.5 stars out of 5. So these are the books I've read recently. There are a couple of books that I decided to give away to charity shop because I realised I will never ever finish them. And these are the books that I think I have mentioned before. It's Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. I got halfway through the book and then I just lost interest. And I picked it up again and put it down again, and picked it up again and put it down again. And I don't know, just kind of the novelty worn off, and I think the story lost its pace. And 4 months, 3 months since I started it, I just think I'm not going to bother. So it's going to charity shop. Another book I bought in HMV last weekend and I'm giving it to charity shop is by John Ronson, and it's called Lost at Sea. I read The Psychopath Test by this author and I really enjoyed it. However, I didn't realise this book was just a series of articles from mainly from I think The Guardian and other newspapers, and it's just, I don't know, just I read a couple of stories, but they just don't seem to be, I don't know, I just didn't enjoy it, so that's going to charity shop after reading 3 out of however many stories. And the last one, this book, I was reading it or trying to read it for about a year, and again I pick it up, read a chapter, put it down, read 3 or 4 other books, pick this up again, and it's Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe by Fanny Flagg. And I know it's a good book, it has brilliant reviews and there's nothing wrong with it, it's just, I don't know, it just doesn't grab my attention enough. So I'm running out of space on my bookshelves and some books just have to go, and it's one of them. That's not to say it's a bad book, it's just, maybe it's just not for me. So this is what's been happening recently. I'm looking forward to next month because I'm going to be in Edinburgh, and Edinburgh International Edinburgh Book Festival is going to take place at the same time, so I'm really looking forward to visiting it. I don't know if I'm going to do any videos before I go, however, if I read any spectacular books I'll do a review, and if not, then I'll see you when I come back. Enjoy your summer. Bye.